From an engineer who briefly floated in the seas of the corporate world to the visionary who excelled in the startup universe, Krishna developed the art of building, experimenting, and rebuilding. This artistry helped him establish himself as the pioneer in the world of professional upskilling. Krishna is a landmine of stories, experiences, and insights. And he believes everyone has a story. On Simplilearn's very own homegrown podcast, As Simple as That, Krishna will be donning the hat of a podcaster, conversing with learners, industry leaders, business partners, and anyone who has insights to share. In this episode, we will get to see Krishna in conversation with Simplilearn learner Achyut Venkatesan. A seasoned professional, Achyut has a wealth of knowledge and experiences, and his career so far has a strong flavor of constant learning and adaptability. In this conversation, Achyut will be chatting up about his professional journey so far, the importance of practical application of knowledge, and the role of upskilling in scaling up his career. So, let's dive right in.
Hello everyone, welcome to As Simple as That. Today we are going to speak with Achyut. Achyut is from Chennai. Let's first hear from Achyut, his background and where he comes from and what was his childhood like before we go and deep dive into his life, career and a lot of learning that we are looking forward to derive from our conversation today. So over to you, Achyut. Please do share about where did you grow up, how was your early childhood, what kind of events really shape you as a person, and then we'll build further on that.
Thank you, Krishna, and my pleasure talking to you. And it is a great opportunity for me to be as part of your podcast and share my experience and my personal life. So looking forward to this episode. So thanks, Krishna. I'm Achyut. I'm currently working as Senior Audit Manager from Standard Chartered Bank. I have about 20 years of experience. I'm basically native of Chennai, Tamil Nadu. Born, brought up, and did my schooling, my college, and right through my career, I've been in Chennai alone. So I could be a person who could be branded as a loyal person to his or her hometown. That's about me. So as my childhood is concerned, as I said, I was born in Chennai, but for the first few years, I was brought up in Mangalore. My father was working in Kudremukh INOs. He was in HR in Kudremukh INOs. So the first 3 years of my life was there. But those 3 years, a lot of people will say that, how do you remember those 3 years? But I do remember those 3 years very vividly. The sceneries in which the Mangalore is set up and the quarters, the Kudremukh quarters, it was all wonderful. Then came into Chennai, did my schooling from Maharishi till my 10th. And then I did my schooling from DAV Mugapir, 11th and 12th. And 4 years I did it from Annamalai University. I did it in Bachelor's of Engineering in Electrical and Electronics. Came back to Chennai. I did my MBA in Finance and Systems, SSN School of Management, which is basically was affiliated to Madras University. And then I started off my career in a fintech company in 2003. And it's almost, as I said, it's 20 years since I began my career. And my life has taught a lot, and I'm willing to share as much as possible with you, Krishna.
So thanks, Achyut, and thanks for taking time to talk to your early childhood and all your education. So you said that you still remember the first 3 years. That's indeed very surprising, but because most people don't remember. But I just realized that your father was working in Kudremukh. What is it is called KIOCL? That's the first company
yes.
I encountered because I studied in NIT Surathkal and Kudremukh. That company was not very far away from our college, so we used to visit that campus once in a while, and we were impressed by all that facility that particular the township had, right? And I'm sure is beautiful, right? So there is no anybody who goes there will like it for sure, right?
Yeah, but that company is now, I would say, I think the INO is not mined anymore. So the company is not there. But yeah, the first 3 years, as I said, the campus, I would never forget the name I got in the campus as a very mischievous person who, at the age of 2, always had a call to my mother and father saying that your son is sitting on the parapet wall of the flats or roaming around somewhere. I do remember the playgrounds that we used to have within the campus. So it was a nice 3 years of experience. And I've always been called as a very mischievous person in the whole campus. And that they would be able to say, okay, he is so and so's son, because he would always be roaming around at the age of 2 years itself, going to each of the people's house. And my mother used to find it very difficult to contain me inside the house. So that's how I was. And I think that quality still there, the inquisitiveness is something what I have developed right through and that memory is also one of the key aspect of myself. Keeping all the good things in your memory right from your childhood also helps. So the two qualities in those first 3 years is to observe and attenuate what into your memory, and also the keenness to explore. Though it was a problem to my parents, I think that was something that still holds me good in terms of trying to find out new things, learning as such. And I think this would be a good connect to this podcast.
Nice, Achyut, and it's really great that you remember all those that time and that actually shaped you as a person. So that's really great to know. So you said that your father was working in HR department. Now
Yes.
HR is also a very, I'll say, a very promising field. In fact, I look at today's time. I think what defines the success of an organization is all about people. Rather, if you can
Mm.
assemble a great set of smart people, give them all the authority and give them a playground for them to perform their best, that defines your success. So you never thought of working in HR, getting into your father's footsteps?
See, that's one good thing about what happened to me. I was able to choose my career, and my father never pushed me into saying that this is what you need to do. But if you ask me through whether I wanted to get into HR, I saw the hardship that my father used to go through. He was in charge of the factory workers and the various garrows he had gone through. He was part of PCS. He was in HCL, and then he retired as a senior vice president of HR from Cuvances. I'm not sure whether you know about that.
I know
So,
Kuwans as well.
so that was his career journey. But he never forced me saying that this is what it is. And I had an opportunity to either be a doctor or an engineer. That's always been the case in 90s, right? In 90s, as an Indian, you have just two avenues. Either if you are in a middle class family, you are either say that you have an aspiration to be a doctor or an aspiration to be an engineering with computer science as your thing. And then fortunately, I got an engineering college, and there began my life. But one thing I was very clear, Krishna, I didn't want to stereotype myself, because at that point of time, there were two things. Because 96, 95 is when the IT boom started. And in fact, I would say that where people were saying programming is the key aspect of. Somehow, I didn't want to get pushed into that programming mindset. I said that no, programming is not what I want to get into. Many people were questioning my decision, saying that, look, that's how things are. You could go to US, you could be rich and all of those. I said, no, that is not my passion. That's not what I want to do. So I didn't go into an IT line. And another fun anecdote is basically the reason why I'm saying is I said my father was a HR person, and he was a senior vice president in Cuvances at that point of time. In fact, Cuvances did come to Annamalai University for their campus interview, but I did not attend. And I told my friends that if I get my job, I would have to get my job on my own merits and my capability, and not on my father's whims and fancies, because he's a HR head in a reputed company. So I choose my career. Once I did my engineering, the funny part was that we were about 7 people staying in a house. We rented a house in Annamalai. 5 of them had got campus, and it was me and another person who did not have any placement as part of our final year engineering. I did go through a lot of turmoils at
Which
that
year?
point of time. Yeah.
Which year? 2003.
No. I passed out in 2001. So that is 2001 is when I did my final year engineering. So that was also the dot-com burst,
Yeah. So
basically the
2001 to
2 years.
2004. 2004 it started becoming better, but 2001 till 1, 2, 3 was really bad.
Really bad.
Similar to what is happening in the current year for the
Yeah,
placement, right?
exactly. So I would say, see, that's where it is like God is always there, and God chalks your life, is what people say, right? In a way, me not getting a placement was a blessing in disguise because 2001, a lot of people got their placements, but unfortunately, because of the dot-com burst, most of the companies were not able to honor the placement that they were.
Yes.
So my friends lost their 6 months because they were waiting for the companies to call up. Then I took a decision. My father called me, spoke to me, and said, "Look, Achyut, I see that you don't want to get into coding as your profession. So what is that you want in your life?" I said, "I want to be some person who will be contributing towards, what do I say, developing the software. That is, I want to be the knowledge person, an SME in the area based through which these developers would be able to do the coding." So he said, "If that is the case, why can't you do finance and systems?" Because he was in HR, he knew what is happening in the industry. He said, "I think this is the fintech, financials is going to be the next best thing in coming years. So why don't you do an MBA?" So I wrote an entrance and I got through in SSN. I did finance and systems. And my first job was in a very, very small company. It was a UK-based company, but still a very small company. It is still there in existence right now, called Bodex. I joined there as a financial analyst and also was helping in developing their systems. So the 2 years I spent there, I was a financial analyst going through the board papers, understanding the financial of various listed companies around the world, and then putting it into their software. They had their proprietary software. So I was also helping them in developing the proprietary software, and I was also doing that. So I started off in a very, very small way, and my salary was next to nothing, I would say, at that point of time. And again, the funny part was everybody was saying, "You joined for such a low salary. Your father," again, see, your life goes through this pressure, right? Your people starts to always question you. "Your father is a HR. Why can't you push him and get him a good job which can pay you really well?" As I said, I had that.
I think just for my clarity, so you're saying that after you completed engineering, since you had not got placement from your college placement, so you didn't take a gap year, you straight away went for MBA based on your
Yes.
father's advice. This Bodex job you got through campus from SSN college?
No, not through campus again. It was through outside placement. Applied for it and I got that. It was not through campus. And there is
So how
no
did you apply? See, generally, see these days there is internet. There's so much of like awareness about
through
because that was not possible, right?
through
Yeah.
newspaper and through friends who were applying there. So naturally, you have people who would be guiding you, right? Say there is an opening there, there is an opening there. So that's how I applied for it, and I got this job. So it was not through campus, and I don't have any shame in saying that during MBA, I went through a lot of personal turmoil through, because every semester I had jaundice, and in one semester I had chicken pox. So I didn't do well in my MBA. So if you really ask me at the end of the day, I passed out in second class. So I was the only person in my class who was in second class, and everybody were in first class above 60%. And of course, I missed out my first class by 0.5%, 59.5, and 60 and above becomes first class. But anyway, I don't regret it right now, because the reason why I'm opening about this is that sometimes the young people think that marks makes your life. It's not the case, and I could be a great example because I never scored good in my 10th. So coming back, so since I had a lot of arrears. Naturally, campus was not a possibility. So that was the reason why I had to actually look out. And unfortunately, I got that. And here again, the reason why I keep saying this is have some pride. People have to have pride in themselves and should have that ability to say that no matter what, you would be able to succeed in life on your own terms. So I said, no, I want to succeed in my life in my own terms. So I said, okay, I will apply myself. I will get whatever the job, no matter what the amount that job pays. I will get in. All I need is experience, and then experience will help me grow.
How long you
And
worked in that company?
I worked for 2 years. It was extreme fun because it was a completely young people, all out of college. And those 2 years actually also helped me because I'm a passionate cricketer. I'm a passionate in cricket, and I played cricket for my school, played cricket in my college, and that continued in that company because we had a team of our own. We create or formed a team of our own, so that also helped. So 2 years I worked there, and the experience I gained in terms of the fintech knowledge and also contributing some amount in terms of development led me to my next company, Sundaram Infotech Solution, which was into mortgage software development. So they were developing software for various financial companies like Mahindra Finance, their own in-house Sundaram Finance, and various other financial companies. They were creating mortgage platform. So I went in there as a business analyst in
This was in 2005.
2015,
In
15,
2000,
sorry, 2005, sorry,
so
2005.
2005, if you look at, if I reflect, 2005, this business analyst was not a very well-known and popular role.
No,
Right.
it wasn't.
So how
It
did you,
wasn't.
when this role was offered to you, how did you, in fact, today it has become a very, I'll say most in demand, one of the most in demand role. Most of the business analysts, they end up becoming product manager, which is obviously a very powerful role these days. But how did you come across this role called business analyst and decided to take on when that role is not, I'm sure none of your classmates or anybody known would have been playing that role that
No,
you
that
know.
was the time it was coming up. And that said, as I said, right, coming back to what I said earlier, my goal was to be a person who becomes an SME who would be contributing towards the development, right? So when I read through the job profile, job description of that, that is the first time we also knew something about business analyst, right? So the job profile, when it went through that, I saw that this is what the contribution is, that you need to sit with the client, understand their requirements, and then translate that into a BRD document that you call, right, business requirement document, and then writing functional specification document and other stuff. I said, yeah, this is what I always wanted. And so that's when I read through it, I said, this is what I need to do it also. And my ability on the financial side of it, I helped me to get through the interview. And you're see you if you want to be a business analyst, it's more about your communication skills, right? Because you have to be able to connect with your client, understand their requirements, commit accordingly, and then make a requirement according to their what they want in thing. So I got this job. That was the next best thing because I still continued to play cricket because Sundaram had a very good cricket team. They play in divisions. Of course, I couldn't get into that team which played in division, but of course, we still played a lot of cricket in those years. So I learned a lot of software, and that's when I got exposed to, for the first time, auditing side of it, because ISMS.
How did business analyst and auditing came into play?
Because ISMS audits were at that point of time was getting in, right? ISO 27001 was
Okay.
kickstarting at that point of time in 2005, where every company wanted to get into this ISO 27 certification. And there were a lot of certification. Being a client company, you have to have certain certification, right? So I was exposed into that aspect where I was representing Sundaram in the audits. When external auditors came in, I was representing. So that was the first taste of my audit experience, being on the other side, learning, and that fascinated me. The auditing fascinated me. I said, yeah, I think that's a good line. So what is that I need to do to that? So that's when I did my CISA. So I said, okay, if I need to get into it, I need to upscale myself. How do I upscale myself? MBA is not enough, and I need to do something which is relevant. I can get into the technology line of it. Because when you are a business analyst, you have exposure to database. Basically, because being a business analyst at that point of time, you need to do everything. So your SQL querying ability was there for me at that point of time. So I know how to query into a database. I know how to look into these servers, to a certain extent. So I said, okay, I have the basic knowledge. How do I improve upon it? I did my CISA. I cleared my CISA in my first attempt, which was again the best part was it was a gift to myself for my wedding. So I cleared it just a month before my wedding or marriage in
Which
2007.
year was it?
Yeah,
2007. Oh, great.
2007. I cleared
How
my
do you
thing.
prepare for it? Like in 2007 and all, I remember the online platforms that help
No,
you.
nothing was that. Nothing was that. So it was basically a big book and the old style of the highlighter, yellow highlighter. And I prepared for about 8 months. And I did go for a crash course in Isaka, Chennai chapter. So Chennai chapter Isaka had this crash course for a month. So that was my first attempt. And fortunately, I was able to clear my examination. Or CISA exams are not easy to clear because all four answers are correct. It's the best of the four that you need to clear. So you have to be very thorough in your answer. You can't guess it and then write it. So I cleared my exam in 2007. And at that point of time is when I went into my first auditing side of it in Verizon. I joined Verizon in 2006 while I was studying my CISA. I told them that, look, I have the aptitude to be an auditor. I know the database because that was VDSI was also a development company in Chennai. So I told them, look, I know how to look into it, so I can be an auditor. And they accepted it and they said, okay, I think you are a right fit. So I was the first person in the team. I still remember. So at that point of time, Verizon was also developing into a big company. It's now a huge company, but at that point of time, it was still a nascent stage. I think Verizon was established in Chennai in 2005-6. So it was 2006 end of 2006 is when I joined. So ours was the first audit team within Chennai that was created. And I got in within 6 months of that. I cleared my CISA examination, and that's where my auditing and risk life started. And I've been doing auditing and risk related activity for the past 15 years, starting to the 2007.
Great, and that's really a fascinating journey, Achyut. So after Verizon, you joined directly Standard Chartered, or there was other companies where
No,
you?
I was with BNY Mellon for 7.5 years. The previous version of BNY Mellon Tech was called Inotics, and now it is called BNY Mellon Technology. So I was with Inotics for 4 years in a risk role, and I was doing ISMS audits within Inotics. So I was doing risk as well as ISMS audits for 4 years. And then for a short, brief period, I went to Cognizant for about 8 months, thinking that consulting might be a right line. But unfortunately, I did a course. It didn't set for me. The consulting was not something which I realized is not the bread and butter for me. So I came back to BNY, but this time as an auditor within the internal audit team in 2013, not 2013, 2012, I came back. And so in BNY, this time, not in Inotics, I joined BNY's parent company in Chennai itself, where as an auditor and doing audit for the entire globe, the technology audit, where it was database, application server. I was doing everything, including audits on the companies like Pershing, Inotics, which were all their subsidiaries. So that is how I was doing in BNY. And in 2015, September, I joined Standard Chartered, and I've been here in Standard Chartered happily for 8 years. I completed 8 years as of September of 2022, and been part of technology audit. And now I'm currently part of the cybersecurity enterprise technology audit team.
No, that's great, and great to know that you are so happy in Standard Chartered and working there for last 8 years. I'm sure I see people, general trend that people who work for banks, they really work for a very, very long duration. So I think I'm sure they're doing something really good. So tell me, Achyut, that your role is auditor. I think all of us have seen auditors coming and asking questions and saying that show me that, why this is in this way, why it is not done in this particular manner, and so on. So every function gets audited by someone or other in most organizations once they reach a certain size. So from your perspective, what do you look for in an audit? Like, what is your objective? Objective is to go and audit and find some faults, or objective is something else? How do you
Never,
define?
never. I always tell my people who are joining in new to audit, tell them that audit is not about finding faults. It's about finding facts. So it's not a fault finding activity. It's a fact finding activity. The reason is there is a difference. If you say it as fault, you would always have your stakeholders pushing back because they always want to make sure that they don't get blamed for what is the issue that you're finding, right? But rather, if it is a fact finding, it becomes collaborative. You tell them that, look, this is a gap, but of course, no organization or a department can be foolproof in any way. And that's where the audit comes in. Audit is, as a third line of defense, is not there to pick issues and make the organization look bad. Rather, it is to pick issues to make the organization better and stronger. I think that's the mentality as an auditor you need to create. And the most important skill for an auditor is not about how strong you are with technology, but more of how strong you are as a human. Because you need to be a human auditor. You have to connect with your auditees and the stakeholders before you actually can do your audit. So my first thing and in any audit that I do is to make a personal bonding. You can't make 100% personal bonding, but make sure that you have the auditors comfortable with you. And when you make them comfortable, they open up with you because they get the trust. And the best and the most important aspect of being an auditor is creating trust. And people say that trust is only with your customers. No, trust has to be there built across within the organization, and that would actually go beyond the organization in terms of creating trust with your customers. So the trust is the key when you are an auditor, and I ensure that I create trust with them and before I start an audit. Then your technological mindset in terms of asking the right question is where you have to keep upskilling and learning, doing new courses. That comes into picture. But as an auditor, the fine skill or the major skill that you need to have is being a human auditor.
So generally what I've seen, Achyut, in my experience is that if auditor comes, everybody is very defensive, and that's the last thing that they want to fix. So you're saying that because of your human-to-human connection, whenever you're auditing, you end up building trust and you become more welcoming and collaborative rather than trying to someone who's like kind of policing you and showing you that, okay, how much.
Exactly. See, the being human is, and being a human is basically you listen, right? That goes well with not just your profession, with your personal life also. So when you start to listen to people, the first thing that they would do is they would be able to share more about what is happening within their department, right? But when you keep interrupting them and keeps trying to say that, no, I think that is wrong. No, that is wrong. That is wrong. That is wrong. They become defensive, and then you end up getting it difficult to get what you want. And at the end of the day, you don't actually benefit out of the audit because the audit becomes more of tu me kind of a thing that people start to point fingers at each other and say that, no, this is not what it should be, and this is now it should be. And then it goes into a different direction, and the audit will never end. You can't end. You can't find a issue. You can't put an action plan, and you can't get into a proper solutioning aspect of it. So listening is the key aspect of it here, Krishna.
So based on what you told me, Achyut, so far, I again want to go back to your Sundaram days, where you started your second role in Sundaram as a business analyst. Now, from business analyst, you ended up becoming a cyber security auditor. Now, at that point in time, you also had a potential career path of becoming a product manager. So, at what point in time you decided that maybe taking this route is much more aligned with with who you are as a person, and that might give you more satisfaction compared to pursuing the path of a product manager?
Yeah, exactly. That's a good question, Krishna. The reason I choose that is that as I said, I have always been a person who listens, and that was the key aspect, even if being a business analyst, because you need to listen to your customers when they say the requirements, and you need to be patient to say that this is the requirement of the client to the developers when they do their development. As I said, when I was part of the ISMS audits in Sundaram, I saw how the auditors were interacting with us and how the data were collected. And I felt fascinated saying that I think I have the skill set in terms of connecting with people. And at that point of time, I keep reading about what is happening in the industry also. I was also reading that the next thing that is going to be big is being an auditor, and that too being a technology auditor with the amount of digitization that was happening. 2007-8 is where people were moving towards complete digitization in the fintech world, right? So I was thinking that in the fintech as well as in any industry, protecting the data was becoming the most important aspect of it. Until then, data protection was not a key aspect. But in 2007-8, so 6 is when people were starting to talk about the data protection. I said, okay, I read that and I said, okay, if I have to go into that line, being that what is that I need to do? I then found out that auditing is the right way to go in, and I can, when I move into the risk side, risk world or the auditing world, I would be able to do that aspect of it, and I could still keep the inane state of being human in terms of interaction will also still continue to be there. Plus, your knowledge of finance will always help, because when you do audit later point of time, even right now, without my financial knowledge, if I go to a business team and ask them about the controls, business controls, technology controls, I need to understand. So I had that skill. I had my technology skills. I had the ability. I did my CISA. So I said I become a holistic person in that aspect, and I jumped in from that. Product management, yes. Being a business analyst, I could have gone to be becoming basically at that point of time, those who are in business analysts all went to US, became client side facing in US. But for me, somehow US was not a fascination at all. For me, it was about my satisfaction, whether I liked it, whether I enjoyed it or not. So I said, what would make me happy? I felt auditing is what would make me happy, and I choose this career.
So, Achyut, my next question is about this US move. See, I've seen in particular in India, especially people from Tamil Nadu and Andhra, are the highest number of software professionals working in US and first generation immigrant. So dream is to go and work in US and maybe also settle there in US. You also see parents having that pressure also, that okay, their kids have their colleagues and neighbors' kids have gone and settled there. So you never had that kind of pressure coming from your parents or in-laws?
No,
or
never at all. As I said, right, I've always been an individual person, strong enough to say this is what my career is, and this is what I want to do in my life. And in a way, I would say that it is a blessing in disguise, because people don't. Yeah, of course, people are doing good in US monetarily, and also they are having fun in a lot of ways. But the aspect that many miss is their parents, because most of them are in India. And I've seen people, when something is happening to their parents, they find it very difficult to support them staying in US. So I think in a way, my decision to stay here was also in that aspect that my parents supported me right through my younger days and helped me to be who I am. And right now, I am able to support them, being with them, and the assurance they have that, okay, they have their son right next to him or her. That is something that I don't think anybody can replace that happiness as such. Of course, I do miss out on money. I do miss out on the various other lifestyle changes that could have happened to me. But somehow I feel that life I chose to be in Chennai, be in India, was the right decision in a lot of ways. And I'm contented with that aspect. And I've not felt very, what do I say, did I do a wrong thing by not choosing to go out of India? I would say no, I have never felt that way. And of course, your pressure is there because all my cousins are US. That's always there. all my cousins are in US. In fact, as you rightly said, my cousins were first-time immigrants in 95, 96 when the actual boom was happening. So they all went into development. They went to US in 95, 96 through various companies in India to US, and now they are all US citizen and green card holders and other stuff. Even my friends are there, but I'm contented in that aspect of it. And there's a lot of benefit being in India. I think only when people go through it will know what that benefits are.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. In fact, the India has also changed as a country in last 20 years for
Exactly.
sure. I think many
Exactly.
people who have moved from India to US 20 years back, they somehow still carry the same India impression of 20 years back without realizing
Exactly.
it's much more, I'll say, powerful and satisfying and monetarily also rewarding career option right here in India. You don't have to go there. Because I also find sometimes very surprising that a lot of people who work for IT services company here in US, they get paid so low that it makes me wonder that how do they survive in such low salaries here in US? They're better off maybe getting 1/5 of that salary in rupees terms and leading a better life in India compared to just surviving. So it's good to know that you're not. I think most of the life, I'll say, sorrow comes when you start comparing yourself with others. But if you only start
Absolutely.
comparing with yourself, I think you just do improvement compared to where you are. So that's a really great point, Achyut. Now, going to
Absolutely.
the next question that I have to you is that you are an engineer, you did MBA, you're also a CISA, and I know that Certified Information Security Auditor that ISACA conducts.
Mm.
It was a tough exam earlier also. It's a tough exam now also. It's not people don't end up completing that certification so easily. Even today also, things have moved from 2007 to 2023, 24 now in terms of like so much of online resources available, YouTube videos, interviews from previous past candidates, all kinds of question banks, simulation tests, uh, like online curriculum, instructor-led classes at the convenience of your desktop and a mobile phone. Everything is available. Still, the exam is tough. So when you already have these three credential, engineering, MBA, and a CISA certificate, at what point of time you realize that I should do one more formal course and add to my educational qualification that will help me become better at what I'm doing?
Yeah. So the rationale and reason why I did my course here in Simplilearn on cybersecurity from IIIT Bangalore is basically because first 4 years of my career in Standard Chartered was in technology application audit. I was as part of the application technology audit team. Internally, I moved into cybersecurity audit team, and though I knew about what is cybersecurity, what is servers, what is the infrastructure all about, and other stuff, if you don't have a validation within yourself to say that what is being told to you is what needs to be from the industry side, it would become difficult as an auditor because when you find an issue, you should be strong from yourself to say that this is an issue. For that, you need to be confident on the issue that you found. So that's the reason why I said, okay, what is that I could do to gain that confidence? I know what is cybersecurity. I know what is infrastructure. I know what it is. I had an option either to do a CISP or do a to do a course
What
like
was the first option? I didn't understand. What was the option you had? What is the
a
CISP? I didn't.
CISSP,
Okay.
ICS,
I know
ICC square,
CISSP
right?
certificate.
Yeah,
IC Square,
IC
Certified
square,
Information Security. I think I don't know
security
what the other
professional.
security professionals.
So I had an option to do a CISP or to do this kind of thing. So I was actually doing a lot of research. And when I did the research, that's when I came through this Simplilearn course. Somehow I decided that CISP is not the immediate requirement. I could always do it later. In fact, that's one of my aspirations for this year is to complete my CISP. Hopefully I could. But I said, okay, the certification I can do it, but I need to first gather the basic knowledge and be to strengthen that knowledge base. What do I need to do to strengthen the knowledge base of what I know already, but with a validation to that what I know is where I said, okay, I need to do an executive kind of program. And I was going through a lot of courses through Simplilearn and various other portals like Simplilearn. And I saw a lot of other portals also offering similar kind of courses from with MIT as the thing. What really attracted me with Simplilearn was the integration with the IIIT Bangalore, the premium Indian institute. Yeah, I could again go for an US institute which says that MIT, but I felt that okay, MIT and IIIT, I feel IIIT Bangalore is again, probably I'm a Desi person in that aspect. I always had that Desi feeling. I said, okay, IIIT Bangalore. And the best part of why I choose IIIT Bangalore is my brother, younger brother, he did his MTech from IIIT Bangalore. So I know about that college also and about the reputation of that college. In fact, it is one of the most premier technology institute, which has a lot of patents also. And the director right now, not right now, the previous director was one of the well-known person in who was actually a kind of what do I say? He was advisor to the government of India too.
Dr. Satgopan, right? Yes.
Sadagopan sir. Dr. Sadagopan sir was an advisor to government of India also. So that is the kind of reputation. So something that was contributing towards the India growth and India stack, right? So I said, okay, I think IIIT Bangalore is the right course. And then the added advantage of NPCI, National Payment Corporation of India's internship program. And if people don't know what it is the company which developed the UPI platform for the entire India. And now you know that India is surviving because of, I could clearly say it's surviving because of this wonderful platform that was developed by NPCI. So I said, okay, something Desi again in that
So what
aspect.
happens? Achyut, I know that Simplilearn cybersecurity program with IIIT Bangalore has a virtual internship with NPCI. But what happens at the virtual internship?
So the virtual internship was that I remember that there were about 3 or 4 classes from people from NPCI, I think from the risk and audit side, who had a good session on how they manage the financial protection of the data, how they did that, what is required, because they're going to handle a huge thing, right? In terms of if a transactions are going through their platform, if they are not secured, that's where people will start to get in, right? So how they strengthen their base in terms of security and other stuff, that was the most interesting aspect of it. And the internship also made us do a small practical case study was given to us where how do you secure data, a kind of a practical thing which we need to demonstrate, and we had to submit, and that was evaluated, and based on which the internship was the certificate was provided. So we do get a certificate from NPCI also. And the other aspect of NPCI is that my line is also banking, right? So digital is what it is. So I thought that this would make sense because I could actually get the experience of what I hear from these NPCI folks and see how relevantly it could be placed within my bank too. So that was also one of the other reasons and rationale why I said, okay, this is also a good reason why I should be doing it. And of course, of all things, comparatively, Simplilearn gave a good buy-in also in terms of the monetary aspect of it. It was 1/3 of the cost of the various other platforms, which was providing the same course with MIT being as a thing. I felt that it was cost to your outcome of what you want to achieve. I felt that this was also much more useful for me.
That's great to know, Achyut. So, Achyut, and now I want to just talk about one point that I see a lot of people with a higher number of experience struggling. See, what happens is that we see a lot of learners who are still in their early career, like someone who became, let's say, a software engineer, and they want to get into a data science. They want to do a formal course from an IIT or a global institute, a global education institute like MIT or take any other institute, and they look at that as an education. That okay, I did this a formal education. Now I want to switch my career, and more such examples like people who are in quality analysts, they want to become a developer. Developer wants to become a data scientist or a machine learning engineer, or if developer wants to become a product manager or a developer wants to become architect. All that is very common. That you have a couple of years of experience, you want to switch your role, but you're still like I'll say below 5-6 years of experience. So anywhere from 1 year to 6-7 years of experience, we see this taking a course to switch their domain very, very common. Now, what we see that as people get more experience, like let's say they become 10 years, 15 years of experience, that time, if they have a change in their roles, like in your case, it's not exactly a big bang change in role, but it's technically a change in role because you are formally going to do audit of cyber security, but you wanted to gather more in-depth knowledge of cyber security so that you can talk to your business guys on same wavelength, that I understand what it means. And I have also done this program, so I know all the intricacies and I can talk to you in your own language, right? So this is what I understand is your objective for doing the program. But what we see that the typical approach that most people take, that I already have 15-16 years of experience, why should I go and take a course? I can do Google search, I can do YouTube, I can learn from here, I can learn from there. And then with that, I can get enough information to do my job. Like one of the things that so it's not about only Simplilearn as a platform, I'm talking about industry in general. See, what we at Simplilearn, what I always talk about it publicly is that it's not important that you come and do a program with Simplilearn. Of course, I like it if you do it, but that's not what I personally stand for. I personally stand for the need to do constant upskilling. You just do it from anywhere else, as long as you're learning. If not from anywhere, just go to YouTube and learn something. We are going to add value to us. In fact, we contribute so much of courses to YouTube. We have the Skill Up platform where we offer a lot of courses for free and so on. So our primary objective is to help people realize that upskilling has value. But this 15 plus years of experience, people always debate that shouldn't I just go to YouTube and all these resources and learn something rather than taking a course. And one thought that we tell them that when such learner comes to us is that, see, look at your opportunity cost. You are already getting paid X amount of salary. If you calculate that salary to your hourly rate and you spend time going through lot of resources on internet. So internet has both plus and minus. The plus is that everything is available. The minus is that it's very distracting. You're reading a video, suddenly there is a link, you go to another video, then you find something else, you get to another video. So you started from a certain topic. By the time you loop in, you are on a totally different topic, because very easy to get distracted because so much of links getting built in. So if you want to do a formal, you want to understand a topic, the best way is to pick up a book, complete the book, so that you know that you are started a book and you finished a book, or take a course which is well structured and you complete the program. So, but we still see a lot of people deciding to do this, what we call relying on internet resources to get knowledge and enough knowledge so that they can talk about this topic, but they don't take the approach that you took, that okay, I want to do a formal course from a reputed institute, do hands-on and get up to the speed. So did you speak to your colleagues about doing that call, or how did you make that decision? And I'm sure you know a lot of colleagues who wanted to learn and they followed the other approach of not taking a course, but relying on internet resources.
No, I think that's where my bank comes into picture. I have to tell this here is that Standard Chartered helps people to do upskilling. They encourage that. They say that you can't just be sitting where you are. You need to learn a lot. So we have an internal learning portal, and they encourage you to do courses. So as part of our performance appraisal, or the goal setting that you have, right, is like there's one area of skill development or development as part of our growth plan, what we call it as. So Standard Chartered Bank actually makes people say that your growth is not about just growing as a person within the organization, but growing as a person with knowledge. So upskilling is something which bank encourages, and we have a good budget for each team allocated for doing these kind of courses. So if you do those courses, you would be reimbursed. So people don't have to spend money. Of course, not the full amount, but still, at least you are able to get a substantial amount of your course fee from the bank, and they encourage you to do that. That's something which is amazing, right? So Standard Chartered encourages you to take up these kind of courses and make people say that you specialize, you do your upskilling by specializing on things. So they offer trainings within our own portal, and in doing so, they support these kind of courses by saying you go out, do these courses, and upskill yourself. And in a way, being a bank, right, you are always subject to regulatory scrutiny. And when a regulator comes in and says who are part of your team as an auditor, and when they see that okay, this person has these kind of certifications, the regulators also feel comfortable saying that okay, the bank is managed by those who have the right skills to look into what they are looking into. It's not an haphazard side of it. So, but people forget that you could become a knowledge creator or a knowledge imbibing person, but that doesn't actually help you in a professional way, basically, because you have to remember that certifications always help you to stand out different. Because at that point of time, you can't go to the regulator and say, I am a YouTube avid fan. I know everything about cybersecurity. I know everything. I can tell you all of this, but the regulator doesn't. Regulator believes in having, because even in India, right, our own regulators say CISA is a must if you are an auditor, right? That's something which they are bringing in right now as part of the law itself. So that being the case, certifications and these kind of courses are becoming a backbone of how a company is perceived to have the right skilled persons within the team to do the right thing. So if yeah, of course, I am also a YouTuber. I can go in. I do also learn about a lot of things, but I accept, because when I moved to cybersecurity, that's how I moved into cybersecurity. I knew a lot of things basically through these Google search, reading, and the basic knowledge of what it is through YouTube and other stuff. I wanted to substantiate myself to say that I will give a formal name to it by doing a course, and that's how I choose this course. And people should understand that aspect of it, saying that you could be a thing, but at the end of the day, world is being judged with what you have as a certification to substantiate your knowledge base. And I think these kind of courses will help you to substantiate that. It's my personal feeling, Krishna.
No, that's great to know, and thanks for sharing a detailed note on that, Achyut. So now, Achyut, what next for you? Now that you have done this course, you're already a senior audit manager. How do you see your career? Maybe I'll not talk about 5 years, that's a long period of time, but next 2 years, what is that you're looking forward to achieve?
So the next 2 years, so as I said, learning never stops, and I would be doing my CISSP certification. So that's something which would do. So from the learning perspective, keep abreast with what is happening in the industry, because it's almost 2 years since I completed my AEP in cybersecurity from Simplilearn. So I'm already old in that aspect, and industry has actually moved at a lightning speed from what it was 2 years back. So keep abreast with it, keep learning. From the career perspective, I can know that what my career path in Standard Chartered is. Somehow the work-life balance that I have within this team and this bank has always helped me to do this kind of upskilling. And I know what my path is, to slowly become a head of audit and then probably get into first line and second line. That's something which I could do at later point of time. But my knowledge that I have right now has put me in a good state for further career enhancement. And I've always been able to take a good decision to know what I need to do in the next phase. And I think I'm still not reached the place where I am desperate to go to the next level. For me, still I'm in a place where I have to learn a lot before I can go to the next level of being a head of audit, because a head of audit brings in a different kind of skill sets, right? So that upskilling still requires and needs. So yeah, of course, lead a team within the organization, and of course become a technology driving factor within my bank, and in the first line or the second line aspect also, if it permits, or stay put in audit also. So something which I have the flexibility as such.
So, Achyut, what is the second line and first line? I don't understand that. What do you mean by
Okay,
that?
so we have 3 lines difference, right? So the first line is where they are people who put all these securities into things like basically the cyber defense center, the access control team. All of those are basically the technology. We call it a CIO team or the CTO team, or various companies have their own designated COO team or whatever that they call it, right? The technology team, which puts in all the controls. Whom who are our stakeholders as an auditor, right? We go and do audit on the first line and the second line. Two things. Second line is basically the risk or the team which creates these standards, these policies, and then they are the ones who does the risk assessments. So that's the second line. The first line is the actual implementers. Second liners are basically those who are the one who would set the standards, the policies, what you need to follow. And third line, we don't go and check on these two people to say whether they are sufficient in nature that secures the company asset. So I still have the ability to switch to any of these two lines down my career also.
But I didn't know that this is how people cyber team plans them. So that's something that I learned, factually something new. So thank you for that. So Achyut, see, one point that I wanted to like really touch upon is that once people have a family, they're married, the kids, especially school-going kids, there's a lot of demand on the personal side also. And of course, work continues to be demanding, especially if you are in a senior role that you are in. So, and in that scenario, you have work, you have personal commitments, and you have expectations from the family. And at that point of time, if you want to do a course, it's not an easy thing to manage, right? Because in fact, sometimes I also see people saying that once I do a course, my kids are saying that, Papa, why are you also studying? Do you also have an exam or not? So tell us how this journey was for your family.
Yeah, so when I choose this course, and I told my wife that, look, for the next 6 months, the weekends are off the chart, especially because I was the first co-head for this program. So I was the first pass out, I would say. I could proudly say about that, was one of the first people to finish this AEP. So I told them at that point of time, the course was only during the weekends, Saturday and Sunday, and the classes were between 7 and 11 in the evening. So your evening programs are off the chart. And so I have two kids. My son at that point of time was in his ninth standard. Eighth, he was completing his eighth and then going into ninth. And my daughter was in fourth standard to fifth standard. So I had to call them and said, look, Appa is going to actually do a course. So Saturday and Sunday is going to be difficult. We won't be able to go out to as much as what we used to go to any malls or any place, or to even to relative place, because my 8 hours of the weekend is completely booked. My wife was very, very supportive. We said, no, Achyut, I think this is something which you need to do to make sure that you get your confidence and make yourself happy in what you are doing. So she said, no, you can do it. I will take care and manage the kids' expectation from my side. So that's something which was a big blessing, because I could now say that there were a lot of weekends where the frustrations were running high, saying that, look, this weekend I thought we could go out, but my wife managed it very well, and she made sure that the expectation of the kids were taken care of. And in a way, my kids were also really, really supportive. The question that you just asked, Papa, why are you studying? What is making you study right now? Why should you go through this? That is a question that my daughter kept asking, saying that, why should we? And I think that was something of a good learning curve for them also. It's because I told them that, look, in life, your learning doesn't stop after you finish your college. Learning continues right through your thing. And I think your Appa is the right person for you to take up and say that at any point of time in your life, at whatever be the age, you can still go through learning. And I think that was also a big learning for them, and which I am sure that would help them in their future career too. So I would like to thank my wife and my kids here, my son and my daughter, who've been supportive right through. And one thing, when I'm talking about the family, I would also thank Simplilearn about, because being in the first cohort, COVID was still active at that point of time when I was doing my thing, and we were hit with a huge COVID wave in between. I started in November cohort, November of 2020. Yeah, it is 2024, right? So 2021 November, and January 2022, there was a big wave of COVID, and we had a lot of disruptions in January and February, because of which we had the 6 months course extended. Simplilearn was very understanding in that aspect. I had COVID at that point of time in January. My wife had COVID at that point of time in January. Simplilearn accepted the fact that yes, you are going through some personal thing, so we will not push you to finish it by May, because as per the cohort, I should have finished my course by May. So I was able to get about a month, extra month, a month and a half extension, wherein I was able to finish all of my theoretical exams as well as the practical exams and submit it, which was something amazing, which I never expected, to have a platform, be flexible to say that, yeah, we will accommodate you. And the relationship they had with Triple IT Bangalore, to say that, look, this is the reason why the delay is happening, and making them understand the rationale why things are getting delayed. I think that's something, because they kept telling to me that, don't worry about all of this. We will take care of those. As long as you're able to feel comfortable, don't stress yourself, don't strain yourself, do your course properly and get your theoretical and practical exams well, and submit it. We will then take care of it. Is something amazing. And the thorough job that Triple IT Bangalore did, because one other key part why I took this course, and something which I forgot to say, is that this came with your CGPA, right? The Triple IT Bangalore did not just give me a certificate. They graded me in each of those subjects, and they gave me a CGPA, and then they did they provided me with the certificate. That means they did that thorough understanding, because after I finished, it took about a month for me to get the certification. I was feeling panicky, and I called up Simplilearn and said, why is it? He said, don't worry, sir, Triple IT is doing a very thorough job. They are asking for a lot of data from us on what you did before they could actually provide us with something. So that's something which I don't think any other course platform was providing, this kind of what do I say, CGPA certified course at the end of it. So that's something also I think. So for me to complete this, it was a full support from my family. So thanks to my wife, my kids, thanks to Simplilearn. At that point of time, the person who was talking to me, I will tell his name. If you want to edit it out, you can edit it. Om Chaturvedi was the person who was actually supporting me at that point of time. Om was there right through the 6 months. He was the one who was telling me, no, sir, don't worry. This is fine. This is taken care of. This is taken care of. So the support that I got, I don't think so any other platform would have provided this kind of open, one-to-one personal kind of a support that I got. In fact, I think I was lucky, and hope Simplilearn continues to provide that kind of human touch to those learners who are going to come into your platform in future too. So Krishna, you have actually created a great team. I think that's something which I could see with what Om did to me, that human touch. Please keep up that human touch, and I thank you for providing me this opportunity. So that's it.
Thank you, Achyut, and this is great to know. And I now see that the certificate that you achieved has your name, it has Triple IT name, it has Simplilearn name. I think you should also have your wife's name that's supported by.
Obviously, I could say Mahalakshmi is her name, and I think it should. She deserves it in a lot of ways.
So I think, Achyut, it was great talking to you, and thank you for your time. So if I have to summarize what I hear you saying, is that you have never let your past impact your present. be it
Yes.
like bad marks in your engineering or more so in MBA has not reduced your confidence. You always knew why you did bad, and you can always do good in future. So that's one great learning that I would like my learners to walk away with. That don't let your past impact your future. The second learning that very clearly came out from our conversation is that you compare yourself with yourself. How do you
Yes.
become? How do I become better tomorrow from what I was yesterday? Not
Yes.
really benchmarking with your peers, colleagues, and friends, because see, everybody is a different individual. What matters to one
Exactly.
person might not matter to another person. So why
Exactly.
to compare when everybody is a separate individual? So I think that also gives you a lot of, I'll say, inner satisfaction and joy, because you're not in that what we call the rat race, that okay, somebody else is doing, so I should also do. So that's a very clear second point that came. I think most people are not able, it's easier said than done, I'll say. That it's not that even if people want to practice, but these days the social media feed and what we hear from our relatives and you go to family functions all create that kind of pressure. So I think
Yes.
that if you've achieved, that's a great achievement, I'll say. But I think it's a journey. People try to, if it's this something that is impacting and you start working, maybe over time you can avoid the impact of environment impacting you. But it's not easy, is my experience, that it's easier said than done. So that's something that you have achieved. That's really great for you, and I'm sure you will have a lot of inner peace doing that. And third part is like, don't settle in a role, because you can do the same role for rest of your life. But if you want to grow in your career, I think you have to constantly learn something new, especially
Yes.
in the current age when things get outdated. Like you spoke about, you did this program 2 years back, and cybersecurity in 2 years has advanced so much more. Now with generative AI coming, I'm sure it has gone
Mm.
to even bigger levels, right? So how do you don't settle and continuously look for ways to improve yourself, and that's how you make progress in life. So three very clear learning, Achyut, and thanks for sharing that. In fact, there's a fourth point also that I'll add, is that I don't see a lot of examples running as upskilling company for last 10 plus years. I don't see a lot of examples of people who are more than 15 years coming and taking this program, because they somehow have this feeling that I'm done and dusted. Nothing can happen to me. I have got into a certain place, and maybe I'll incrementally grow if I'm lucky. But I don't think I can do anything proactively from my side to break the barrier and get to the next level. I think your story is a good example that that's not true. I think in today's world, whether you are young or old, is a mindset. As long as you are continuously learning, you are young, and there is a lot of demand for you as an individual. A lot of companies are looking for great people who are not settled and always aspiring to do more and more. So thank you for your time. It was such a lovely talking to you, and look forward to keeping in touch.